Hey everybody, Christy Birchville here. Today we're looking at Acts chapter 21. Now, as we look at this chapter, we find Paul has returned to the city of Jerusalem. He's talking to the people there, the believers, and kind of telling him, hey, here's all the stuff that God's been doing while I've been gone. They're super excited. They in turn tell Paul, hey, here's all the stuff that's going on in Jerusalem. Here's the goods, the bads. And what Paul learns is that there are a group of people, a group of Jewish people, believers, who believe Paul no longer is holding to the Jewish traditions that he's grown up with. So like he's no longer keeping the law and not like doing all of those things. And they are trying to help find ways to smooth things over, right? We all just need to get along, right? Because we're trying to promote Christ. But Paul's a Jew, and so he should be following the Jewish traditions, or at least that's their belief and understanding. So they try to kind of find ways to smooth this over. But what ends up happening is these people start making assumptions. They see Paul around and they assume that he does things that he didn't actually do. One thing I've learned about ministry over a number of years having been involved in ministry is probably one of the most damaging things to ministry is assumptions. And yet we make them all the time. We are people who want to understand intent. We want to know why people do things. And so if we don't know or aren't given the information, we tend to make it up. So we just sort of put together in our head what we think must have been the reason, what we assume would have been the cause behind these things. And that's what these believers here did. They made the mistake of assuming they understood what Paul was doing and why he was doing it, and they were upset about it. The best way to combat this is communication. You really can't over-communicate. And this isn't just go for ministry. This is in business. This is in work. This is in relationships. Communication helps to alleviate assumptions. So making those communication keeps people from having to try to guess why you're doing what you're doing. You've actually told them. Now, they can choose to believe or not believe, but that's on them. And you can just communicate what you can communicate. But what I would say, the other side to this, we need to be so careful about making assumptions of why things happened or why somebody did what they did. We don't know. And we rarely are going to know the full story or the full situation. We need to go about doing what I've heard referred to and like to tell people about is assume positive intent. If we're going to make an assumption, we need to assume that they did whatever they did for a positive reason. We need to assume that they were trying to do the best they could, that they were trying to do good and be good and be godly. We need to assume that. If we go into things assuming positive intent, we don't end up with near the miscommunication issues that other assumptions can lead to. We don't want to assume that somebody was trying to hurt us or trying to step over us or trying to go behind us or stab us in the back. Those kinds of assumptions will end up derailing ministries, and Satan loves to use that kind of stuff constantly within ministries and with those serving and with those trying to help out. Don't fall victim to that temptation. You may not know the whole story around why someone did something. I may not know the whole story around why someone did something. But just like this situation in chapter 21, don't allow that to start or to result in us going against somebody or fighting against them, spreading rumors about them, any of that stuff. God is not honored in that, and it has no place in the church and amongst believers of Jesus Christ. Be bigger than that. Be better than that. Assume that people are doing things for good reasons and do your very best to communicate why you are doing the things that you are doing that God has called you to. Thanks.